Trump threatens big problems for Iran. U.S. President Donald Trump has warned Iran of big problems if it resumes the nuclear program it agreed to curb in a 2015 international accord. Speaking at the White House where he is hosting French President Emmanuel Macron, Mr. Trump called the Iran deal a disaster and insane. The U.S. president has been threatening to reject an extension of the Obama-era nuclear pact by a 12th of May deadline. Mr. Macron is in Washington lobbying Mr. Trump to preserve the accord. Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel is due to visit the U.S. Capitol on Friday to make a last-minute bid to dissuade Mr. Trump from potentially torpedoing the Iran agreement. It won't be so easy for them to restart, Mr. Trump said in the Oval Office on Tuesday when a journalist asked him about the possibility of Iran relaunching its nuclear program if the deal is scrapped. They're not going to be restarting anything. They restart it, they're going to have big problems, bigger than they've ever had before. And you can mark it down, they restart their nuclear program, they will have bigger problems than they've ever had before. Mr. Trump's stark warning comes a day after Iranian President Hassan Rouhani threatened severe consequences if the U.S. withdraws from the nuclear deal. Mr. Rouhani did not specify what retaliatory action Iran might take. But his foreign minister, Javad Zarif, has said a probable response would be to restart the enrichment of uranium, a key bomb-making ingredient. Under the agreement, Tehran agreed to mothball its nuclear program, which it maintains was for peaceful civilian purposes, in return for an easing of economic sanctions. Mr. Trump has long complained that the accord, signed by the U.S., Iran, Europe, Russia, China and Germany, does nothing to halt Iran's support for militant groups in the region such as Hezbollah. The U.S. president is also demanding that signatories to the pact agree permanent restrictions on Iran's uranium enrichment. Under the current deal they are set to expire in 2025. Ahead of his visit, Mr. Macron told Mr. Trump's favorite cable channel, Fox News, that the U.S. should stay in the agreement as there was no plan B. Mr. Macron is the first foreign leader to be treated to a state visit during the Trump presidency. During Tuesday's meeting, Mr. Macron said, "The Iran deal is an important issue, but we have to take a far broader picture, which is security in the overall region. What we want to do is to contain Iran and its presence in the region." At one point during the photo call, Mr. Trump wiped dandruff from Mr. Macron's shoulder. "We do have a very special relationship," Mr. Trump told journalists gathered in his office. "In fact, I'll get that little piece of dandruff off. Little piece. We have to make them perfect. He is perfect." The Iran deal is not the only potential source of discord between the two leaders. Also on the agenda is the Paris Climate Accord, the U.S. decision to recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, and planned U.S. tariffs on EU steel and aluminium. Earlier in the day, Mr. Macron and his wife were welcomed to the White House with a military ceremony and a 21-gun salute. In welcoming remarks, Mr. Trump thanked France for joining the U.S. and Britain earlier this month in launching airstrikes after an alleged chemical attack in Syria. On Tuesday evening, the White House will host an official state dinner for the Macrons, who will be served lamb and jambalaya, a traditional Cajun stew.